finally letting people through today. Yesterday I heard that they were blocking entry.
It's probably empty, you know.
Monday morning, a day after the Education Minister resigned, Arundhati Roy came with us to Jantar Mantar, in disguise like she had been doing all this while. But with freedom in the air, there was no need to mask up. When were you last here?
I was here the day before the end. I mean, the day before the guy resigned.
And what was it like then?
Well, I couldn't get into the main place because there was such a long queue, so I was just circulating on the outside, and obviously I was masked up and all that. It was delightfully profane, you know. I always think that humor is the distillation of politics, you know. So this was like, I don't know, for people like me who've been, it's been 24 years that he's been in my crosshairs, the Prime Minister, to hear this was just so cathartic, you know. It was just, I thought I would die before you saw something like this happen, and it was wonderful. Wonderful, but it's a bit chilling now, the silence, like it never happened or something, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, it does seem quite unreal, like it all happened in the course of a week. I mean, it was building up from before, but it's the last week where it really peaked.
Yeah.
You'd been here from the early days?
No, I came in the early days, then I didn't come for a bit because, you know, it was... it's complicated for me because I didn't want what I considered my more radical writings to be pinned on what is obviously a movement with, you know, at least on the surface, very limited demands, which is why it was so broad-based and so on.
Yeah.
So I was careful about not, just allowing me to be pinned on to it.
Yeah. You wrote a piece last week in which you said you were initially wary of, you know, what was happening, the Cockroach Janata Party, but something changed.
Yeah, I was wary because of the Anna Hazare movement, you know, and how it was penetrated by the right. And I knew that some of the kids involved had been sort of trained in that ground, so I just wanted to see, what would happen, what were the slogans, what were the symbols. And I really got reassured when I heard Dipke say कि अगर मेरा नाम खालिद होता तो ये सब मुझे करने नहीं देता, you know, and I thought that was a profound thing, simply said, and you did see a direct addressing of this horrible nationalist, Hindu nationalist rhetoric that all of us are swimming around in. That was reassuring, and that's when I decided to come. Yeah.
And it all started with a joke which makes it more incredible. I mean, it started as a social media parody with, you know, an AI-generated image of a cockroach with sunglasses.
Yeah. No, I think for all of us who've been somewhere, you know, in this huge debate, pretty marginalized in certain ways, or at least maybe not marginalized, but marginalized by the mainstream media and demonized and all of that. This was something new, and the ways in which it was organized were new, and I think people have a lot to learn from it and from them, and they've given us a gift. I don't know what's to become of it, but it's, I'd say that it's achieved already much more than it set out to achieve, because the resignation of the education minister was a sort of formal demand, and they won that. But as we know, I mean, I was just watching a video of the new education minister who's just informed, like, hey boss, you're the education minister now. This is how they function, you know. It's like a little symbol sitting on a bloody mountain of shit was flicked off, and another one has been put there, but the mountain of shit remains, which is, even if you're just considering education itself, you know, the privatization, the exam paper leaks, but you know, NEET is a top level exam, but just look at the fact that they're privatizing education. All the sections of disadvantaged students, you know, Dalits, OBCs are gradually being left out of it. Whole curriculum has been revised into some kind of cretinism. Morons, you know, they are trying to create, but clearly not succeeding, because you have this young generation who's just showed itself to be blindingly funny and incredible. But you know, there is so much just in the system of education itself that remains unaddressed. And even look at the BJP handles pouring praise on this minister who resigned, as if he's just martyred himself to the cause of students and not been shamed and forced to step down, you know. So the games are just beginning, I think, on both sides, I hope, you know. So let's see.
Yeah. I mean, you spoke about how this generation is blindingly funny. It's a generation that's been fed so much propaganda. I mean, there's propaganda through the media, movies, even textbooks. How do they see through all of this?
Well, I suppose that propaganda is, for the first part, the propaganda is not sophisticated. It is so dumb that even someone with an average IQ can see through it. A lot of people assumed that the kids couldn't, but clearly they could, you know. And the other thing is that, you know, propaganda has a shelf life, and when you know, you do have a situation where people whose houses, juggies are being bulldozed in Delhi are saying, "Fir bhi Modi ji ko vote denge." But on the other hand, there's reality that meets when the rubber meets the road, as they say. You know, even the parents of the Modi Bhakts are seeing the futures of their children snuffed out. You know, they are seeing, I mean, here you're protesting about NEET paper leaks or other exam paper leaks, but even after you go through 5 years of studying medicine or engineering or anything, there are no jobs.
What are your prospects?
What are your prospects? So, you know, that's at the, I mean, some of us have been writing about, you know, the Adivasis being pushed off their lands, people being displaced. Now that water, you know, Narmada ka doob wala pani has reached the middle class, it's come up there, you know. And even business people, now the centralization of privatization, that only Adani and Ambani matter and everyone else is marginalized. So at different levels, everybody is watching that thing happen. You know, that saying, I think someone in the Kisan movement said it, कि देश को 4 लोग चलाते हैं ना, 2 खरीदते हैं, 2 बेचते हैं, और चारों गुजराती, as in Modi, Amit Shah, Ambani. And it's not a metaphor. It's reality. It's true. So the rot is everywhere, and even the statistics are lies, and they begin to believe their own lies, and they begin to believe their own propaganda. I mean, the question that I have in my mind is, does Modi know what was being said by him, or is he protected from it? You know, and which is worse, that you're the Prime Minister and everyone around you knows how you're being mocked and you don't know, or you know, which is worse, I don't know. But to me, the greatest achievement of this movement is that a person who confected his image so carefully over literally 24 years, starting from 2002, a person who's never deigned to address a press conference, a person who's going around speaking with either a teleprompter or a little parchi in his hand and is still called Vishwaguru and avataar of Vishnu and all that, suddenly gets stripped bare in 2 weeks by these kids.
Yeah.
I don't think, I'm trying to think, Instagram didn't exist a long time ago, but I do not believe that any human being, let alone a head of state, has been derided and mocked so much in the history of time, ever.
Yeah.
So how is he going to come out and face people and say those stupid things all over again? Because even the old speeches were being taken out and mocked and picked apart, and the kids were just rolling about laughing,
Yeah.
So it even makes the previous generation look a bit idiotic because you really swallowed this shit? Are you sure your IQ is okay? Or have we all been terribly damaged? I don't know.
Yeah.
But to me, that way is, in some ways, that's bigger than winning an election, stripping away that wall of crap around a person who's clearly not even averagely intelligent, who is our Prime Minister.
Well, he is trying to now connect with the young people. You must have seen the Instagram videos, the reels he's been shooting.
Not only was that funny, but then they started to boast about how many views it had.
A world record.
Have you heard of hate watching? No. And little tiny tots telling कि ऐसा नहीं होता है ना, कैमरा यहाँ से पकड़ते वहाँ से नहीं पकड़ते, and they just don't get it. There's a Russian writer that I love called Vasily Grossman, and he wrote a novel, an amazing novel called Stalingrad, which begins with a German general who's been posted on the Russian front lines, who realizes that invading Russia is going to be the end of Germany. And so he comes back to Berlin to tell Hitler that this is a bad idea. But when he meets Hitler, he's so frightened and overwhelmed by the aura that he can't bring himself to bring the bad news, so he just doesn't do it, and then we know what happened. So you feel like, is there nobody telling this man that something has turned, not just domestically but internationally? Everyone has got it. People in Australia were laughing, in Indonesia were laughing. Donald Trump, your great friend, has,
In whose company he loves, our Prime Minister.
pushed you into a hole. So you're humiliating India, you're humiliating, and not just humiliating, all these agreements and treaties and, selling the farmers down the river. It's a huge thing. And so obviously this protest of young people were not, taking apart and analyzing everything that needs to be addressed. But I think just the stripping down of the person at the head of this all was a huge service to the country.
Yeah, I guess all of us who've been to Jantar Mantar, what was incredible was that this was a protest movement where the primary emotion wasn't rage. It was humor.
You see, the thing is, I don't think that is such a huge, or there isn't such a brick wall between rage and humor. Like I said, I think that humor is the distillation of politics, the most sophisticated distillation of politics. So, of course it was rage, but it was described as laughing and described as expletives. A
lot of unprintable stuff that we couldn't
Unprintable stuff, and I think all of us were just smiling. My cheeks were aching from smiling so much, And I think, sometimes, like, they said the quiet part out loud, like all of us thought those things and were not able to say it. You can't say it as an individual, but in a crowd, what's going to stop them? But I mean, having said that, I'm really worried because I'm hearing stories of the police now picking off Muslims who are here, like Mohammed Junaid, feeding people. They arrested his family. I saw him saying they blindfolded him and beat him up, and I mean, how are they going to pick off people on the edges? And I hear you just
detentions
told me,
in Bihar, large-scale detentions and arrests happening there.
So this is hugely vindictive stuff. I mean, the Hindu Sena was on its way when when Pradhan resigned. While he got a standing ovation from the government, nobody wagged a finger at him. Nobody has expressed any form of apology for these exam leaks. Nobody has accepted any responsibility at all, So, like, the game isn't over. And, and of course, the sad thing is that our opposition parties have not been able to support what happened with generosity. That they did what, these kids did what the opposition could not do. But there's been a very mealy-mouthed sort of, acknowledgement, which isn't an acknowledgement. And I don't know, like today, Parliament opens and what's going to happen there, because there are so many, while this is happening, as I said in my piece, the arrogance comes from the fact that they know they have gamed the elections. It's hard for anyone to win elections. They have a media which is, it is not media. It is not even a group of people worrying about about censorship. It's a group of people enthusiastically amplifying this fascist nationalist message.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're trying to now get us out from here. जी सर, यहाँ पे कोई बैन है लोगों का आने का? कैसे, कोई सर्कुलर, कोई नोटिफिकेशन, कोई कुछ?
अभी कोई भी अलाउड नहीं है।
ये तो भाई पब्लिक स्पेस है ना,
कभी-कभी रिस्ट्रिक्शन हो जाती है।
सर हम प्रेस से हैं ना, तो आपको प्रेस कार्ड दिखा देते हैं। कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन आप हम दिखा दीजिए हमें, अगर कोई है नोटिफिकेशन।
रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ, मैं कोई ऑर्डर नहीं दे रहा।
मतलब आपको क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है? हम यही चीज़ उधर जाके बोलेंगे या इधर जाके बोलेंगे, दुनिया में पहुँच जाएगा। आप भी आ जाओ। हाँ,
मेरी जब मैं कह रहा हूँ, आप वो समझने की कोशिश करो बस थोड़ा सा। हर आदमी का एक लेवल है, उससे ऊपर तो बात नहीं कर सकता हूँ। मैं जिस लेवल की बात, जो मुझे ऑर्डर मिले हैं,
ऑर्डर दिखा सकते हैं हमें?
मैडम ऐसा
ज़बानी ऑर्डर है।
आपके जो नीचे स्टाफ आपके काम करता होगा, आप हर किसी को रिटर्न ऑर्डर तो नहीं देते ना, वर्बली
सर
होते हैं।
सरकारी काम में तो होता है, सरकारी काम में आपको पता है हर चीज़ एक रिटन फॉर्म में होता है, ऐसा तो है नहीं।
प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल है क्या वो चीज़? हर रोज 150 आदमी, हर रोज ड्यूटियाँ चेंज होती हैं। मतलब ये नहीं कि मैं फोर्सफुली नहीं कह रहा, मैं तो अपनी बात समझाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ आपको। 150 आदमी एक इंस्पेक्टर के अंडर में काम कर रहे हैं, हर रोज वो जो है लगा दी जाती है ड्यूटी पॉइंट। उस ड्यूटी के पॉइंट के बाद में हर घंटे में इंस्ट्रक्शन चेंज।
शुक्र है कि आप अपना नाम लिखा है, छुपाया नहीं, जैसे बाकियों के टाइम में छुपा के बच्चों को मार रहे थे।
नहीं वो तो कई बार ये भी हो जाता है।
बहुत बहादुरी की बात है,
ये इतनी नाजुक सी चीज़ है।
हाँ,
ये बड़ा
कोई बात नहीं, हम आपसे लड़ नहीं रहे, आप तो आप तो छोटे आदमी
कुछ ही मिनट में चले जाएंगे,
थोड़ा हम तो 5 मिनट में निकल
बस हम निकल रहे हैं, बस ज़्यादा समय नहीं बिताएंगे यहाँ पे। जी ठीक है सर।
आई थिंक दे ऑल्सो वर, they also have these kids. They also have people without
privately
jobs.
very sympathetic to the protest.
Privately sympathetic, and I mean, honestly, like, I think many years ago I wrote a piece where I said, India was going to become an integral part of Kashmir in these ways, So the pellet guns have come from Srinagar to here. And so it goes, we we you know, in the car you were saying that they want to what did you say? It should become normal, no?
Yeah, restore normalcy.
Restore normalcy. So
yeah,
I remember I say in Kashmir they declare normalcy because it's always a declaration, you know. So now normalcy has to be
yeah. As part of that, they painted the whole place over. All the graffiti is gone.
yes, they do it in a second.
Yeah.
Blood stains are removed, walls are painted over, you know, but you can almost hear the slogan still, right? You can almost see those lovely faces still.
Well, getting back to what we were talking about, you know, in your piece you said that this energy could dissipate if serious political work does not happen. Do you think there were any signs of that? I mean, the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, showed up outside the Prime Minister's house and was dragged away by the police. You think the opposition is capable of capitalizing on this and posing a serious challenge to the government?
I really don't know. Because there should have been more solidarity shown as opposed to separation, you know. But at the same time, we are, you know, we are in a terrible situation right now. Even the opposition has shown itself to be pretty sad in its squabbling and in its jockeying for position and in its inability to understand that it's facing an existential threat, you know. Tomorrow, if the delimitation bill is passed, you know, while it suffers some setbacks, and every time it suffers some setbacks, this BJP goes to work hard, whereas the opposition goes to bed, you know. So I don't know, but I think something amazing happened here in the last few days. And as I said, no election could have stripped the head of this country of everything that he had protected himself with. It was a miracle that a person with so little brain power, a lot of plotting, but very little ability to think, could have managed for so long to fool so many people. And the thing is that though there was terrible brutality, we know that if it were the farmers who have been called Sikh terrorists, although even these kids were called Pakistanis and so on, but the farmers, the CA protest, and as we keep saying, Manipur, Kashmir, all these places, they have no hesitation opening fire, you know. So that didn't happen because these are the children of his constituency.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, they did terrible things, but not as terrible things as they would have done if it was primarily Muslim or Sikh or Christian or poor or Adivasi or Dalit, you know. I mean, one always had that hum of sadness that in this uprising of so many young people, one of the brightest of them all has been in jail without trial for 5 years, Omar Khalid, Sharjeel Imam, and you know, the opposition can't bring itself to use the word Muslim. They have to say minority, you know. So if we could have some honesty from big politicians, it would be nice. They are so scared of mentioning his name, and that man was demonized by the media, and there was an assassination attempt on him before he was put into jail. He was a boy when he went in. He's a man now, you know, and so we cannot forget Omar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam, and the fact that in those anti-CA movements, Muslims were killed and then accused of murder, you know. Yeah. I cannot forget ever the image of those 4 Muslim boys being kicked and prodded by the police on the road and being forced to sing the national anthem, and Faizan, one of them, subsequently died. I cannot forget that. You know, that is burned into my mind, as is the murder of Ehsan Jafri and everybody else in the Gulberg Society and what happened in Gujarat. So, you know, people tell me, you're angry. Yeah, I'm fucking angry. You know, I've been angry for a very, very long time. But I laugh with anger, as did those students. So let's see. I mean, I don't know what we can say. Namaste.
आप बहुत अच्छे इंसान हैं।
मैं?
हाँ।
कैसे पता आपको?
हमको पता चल जाता है।
आपको?
हाँ।
आप भी अच्छे इंसान ही लग रहे हैं मुझे।
बॉडी लैंग्वेज से मुझे पता चल रहा है।
हाँ।
बोलने का नहीं।
थैंक यू।
परमात्मा ने आपको बहुत अच्छा बनाया। उन्हीं के गुण गाना।
तो कैसे आपको कैसे लग रहा है कि सब छूट गए, चले गए?
अखबार में पढ़ा।
हाँ।
आप फिर भी आए?
कल लिया अखबार। कल के अखबार में पढ़ी नहीं।
क्या लिखा है? नवोदय टाइम्स, जेन जी का प्रधान गए, आंदोलन खत्म।
लेकिन मैं पता क्या सोच रहा हूँ कि ये वाली दिवाली ना मोदी के बिना भी बिता बम बटा के ले आया हूँ।
मैं भी यही सोच रही हूँ। यहाँ मिलते हैं दिवाली में, एक दूसरे को मिठाई देते हैं।
यहाँ 8 दिन
ठीक है।
बहुत हो गया यार, मोदी बोर कर रहा
है ना?
बोर कर रहा है। सारा कुछ तो
बोरियत जैसे बिहार में कहते हैं।
सब कुछ तो बेच दिया।
I mean, in the past decade, dozens of people have been arrested for just sharing a joke.
Exactly,
right?
like a slightly off-grid joke, and suddenly there is nothing but jokes, and that's what I loved about it the most. You know, I felt honestly like I started the piece I wrote for The Wire by saying, just for the first time in years, it felt wonderful to be Indian, because most of the time I go about feeling so ashamed of the things people accept, and this standing over. I mean, you remember the CA protests? Remember the way Muslims were being bloody well lynched and people were applauding and putting up videos, and so for this climate to suddenly come upon us, I swear I can die in peace now. I will die smiling, you know, that this happened. I didn't think I'd see it in my lifetime, and I really have to give it to these young people. It is so great.
Well, even the most imaginative writer perhaps wouldn't have been able to write a plot like this, right? Like 36 days of a protest.
Yeah. Like I said, the progeny of the unholy union between a judge and a joke, you know, and it happened, and it's really, I really feel that people who can't celebrate it and start thinking ahead of, oh, this is going to happen, that is going to happen, you know, I feel sorry. Like we lost the ability to even celebrate a moment, because happiness can't last forever and politics changes fast. But this was a huge blow from our side, and it was done by the most beautiful kids, but great. You know, we know. I mean, someone like myself has been writing for 24 years about more than that, about all the things that concern me. But you know, I think this was wonderful, and we'll see what happens. But
since we are talking about jokes, there was just great humor all around. But is there any one thing that you remember that really made you laugh out loud?
Well, I have a new national anthem, but I can't sing it for you because it's just too rude. And it was hilarious that the most foul-mouthed kids were the girls, and the younger they were, the worse they were. You know, I was just amazed, because in my book, Mother Mary Comes to Me, I talk about how I learnt language through galis. You know, like when I came to Delhi, I didn't know any Hindi, and me and, you know, friend from Odisha, we learnt language through galis. And even the first time, like I didn't know my father, because you know, my parents were separated when I was very young. So the first time I met my dad was when I was 25, and the first thing he asked me was, "So, are you still, you know, foul-mouthed?" And I said, "But I was just 2 when you last met me." He said, "Yeah, you were the worst." And he said, "I brushed my cigarette against you and you just looked at me and said, 'Chutiya.'" You know, so I can understand these, you know, little kids who were, you know, who were just enjoying the expletive moment.
Yeah, and they didn't really bother masking up. I mean, there were a group of girls showing the middle finger to the Prime Minister a kilometer from his house.
No.
Yeah, and I mean, beyond the point, how do we even analyze why and how this happened? But it's happened.
I don't want to analyze it. I just want to enjoy it. You know?
What did you do to celebrate?
I came here and I just smile and smile and smile. You know?
Thank you so much for coming back here with us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It is an extraordinary moment, and of course none of us knows where this goes.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's
celebrate the moment. We laugh to fight another day.
In keeping with the moment, maybe we should ask you to record a reel.
What do you mean by that?
A vertical video. Well, the Prime Minister is doing that now.
Well, thank God I'm not the Prime Minister. You know, everyone was upset about the quality of his teeth, I think. Kids were brushing their teeth and being like, take care of your teeth. But yeah, no, I think we'll leave the reels to young people and not try and be them, you know, and be whoever we are and just put our arms around them. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually a lot of talk about this disconnect between a 76-year-old Prime Minister and young people, but this is really not about biological age.
No.
I mean, youthful striving for freedom and openness clashing against an authoritarian regime which not only stifled freedom, but it's not even delivered economic prosperity. I mean, one of the slogans there on the walls was, Modi ji bure din wapis do.
Yeah, and Simon come back and so on. But you know, the thing is that I suppose, you know, for those of us, certainly like me, who as soon as Godhra happened, you know, knew what was coming, and a lot of people who are now against this regime used to vilify me and mock me and call me all kinds of names for the things I was saying then, including saying take her to a shrink. Now they are like on the forefront of calling these people fascists, but the point is, the lesson for me is it takes a long time sometimes for a population to shift, you know, and for those of us who saw it early, there was a, you know, I didn't realize how guarded and wary as a person I had become until I was able to just let it go, you know. So even my body feels different, like because I had not felt this kind of happiness, you know. For some of us, you know, what's happening publicly and politically is almost more personal than what's happening personally. So every day you felt, every day I felt like when I opened my eyes, I had to move this block of concrete off my chest and say, wake up, smile, get going, stop it, you know. Last few days, the concrete block has been in the other room. It's there, but it's in the other room. Yeah.
On that note, thank you so much.
Yeah,
it's just wonderful talking with you. And I'm glad that we were able to do it here.
Yeah,
in
here
this
come the police.
Wonderful space. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.